You have to accept that you always take the risk. You will never stop taking the risk. I don't know where I was in my mind where I didn't just say yes. If you believe in that mindset of you have it or you don't, it's always detrimental. None of these things are fully stable. Don't wait for when you're old to enjoy this life. Today it's a special episode because it's number one, the first episode of 2026. This is a good opportunity to just talk about my background, and we're from the same hometown. And so it's going to be about our journeys, how I got to where I am, which is in New York. And honestly, just talking about the idea of why taking risks are so important and how risk-taking got me from our small town of Rochester, Minnesota to New York City in 4 or 5 years, basically. Yeah, do you ever feel like it's overwhelming being here?
At times, but honestly, not a whole lot. Not as much as I was thinking, I think.
Yeah. And that's honestly like what risk taking is. You feel so much anxiety before it, then you go do it, and then it's not as bad.
It's not that bad, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess maybe we should just start with Rochester. The winters are cold, the summers are hot. It's very isolated. Like Rochester is like shaped like a circle, and then like beyond that, it's like
it's just cornfields, just
bro. Corn. And the Mayo Clinic is what dominates that city. That's basically what runs the economy there. And if you don't know what the Mayo Clinic is, it's the number one hospital. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't right now, but it's number one hospital in the world usually.
Yeah.
And it's a good hospital, honestly. It's really nice. But yeah, I guess, I don't know, how would you describe school there? Like, or the culture there. How do you describe the culture there?
It is, I guess they call it the Med City for a reason. I don't know, like a lot of, I guess where I went to school is kind of, it's definitely kind of more like upper middle class for a lot of it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of, people who work in medicine. And so there's also a lot of educated people, like really educated. And like, so going to school, you have this strange division of like, you have people coming from kids coming from educated families, for medicine. And then you have like normal kids who don't have that kind of background. And so it is interesting because I definitely feel like, at least from my experience, like there's literally a middle school like Friedel, which was meant for like the more gifted kids, right? And then there's also like gifted programs. And but in general, like I felt like the culture in Rochester was like slow, peaceful.
There's not a lot to do.
Yeah, there's not a lot to do, and people are like take the stable route.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my parents were like. They're like, they wanted me to be an engineer. Like that's what I was on the path to doing, and that is, to be honest, a stable route. And there's a lot of jobs that you can get in Minnesota where it's like somewhat technically proficient, or like maybe it's like you're a nurse or something. I wouldn't say nurse is being stable, but like you have a good pay, you have a peaceful place to stay. Life there is like pretty nice, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I think like my family was kind of the opposite. Like both my parents are artists, and like my whole family's kind of interested in more like artistic stuff. My mom like teaches art. My dad like does web design and stuff, but he used to do a lot more art as well. And then like all of my siblings and myself are all interested in like different fields in art, I guess you could say.
I'm curious, do they talk about Minnesota being like a peaceful place or like an easier place for them to do this kind of stuff?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I've ever like heard it put like that before. But yeah, I think, I don't know, my family's been in Minnesota for a long time, like a really long time. I think like, at least on my mom's side of the family, we've had people going back there for like couple centuries almost, but
that's crazy.
My grandpa, he still lives up kind of in the Mille Lacs area, and he's a painter too, so
I guess the point I'm trying to get to is like, I feel like Minnesota, even for artists, is a more relaxed place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you can make your money doing something else and still be relatively peaceful and like still be able to pay your rent, pay for groceries.
It's still like a relatively cheap area.
Yeah. And it's just because there's there's really not that many like big things around.
Especially outside of the Twin Cities.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of like the one major metropolitan area in like the whole state.
Yeah. And then you get to Rochester and we have a population of like 300,000.
I thought it was like 150 or 200,000. Yeah, it's not that much.
Yeah, it's not very much. And the amount of young people there is like super low.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a lot of like boomers and like I don't know, not a whole ton of like really young people.
Yeah. And then we knew each other from high school actually. We created some films. I mean, that was my first introduction to filmmaking. And I loved it. I had a lot of fun, but I never actually thought of this like maybe I can turn this into a career or something I do when I'm an adult.
It was always kind of like a hobby.
Exactly. Always kind of a hobby. I got to college. I was an engineer for a year, and then I went to CS, computer science. So I was a pseudo engineer in some ways. And then I realized my sophomore year, I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I don't want to work at big tech, which was where my path was going. And I thought about what I loved, and my mind just came back to videos because I also used to make YouTube videos as a kid in middle school, like gaming videos, skits, which were the true first films, I guess. And then I was like, let's see if I can make it happen. And I guess that was the first risk, right? It's like making that decision to go from something where there's a clear path.
Yeah, into like something where you don't really know.
Exactly. No one knows. I didn't know what the career even looked like. I don't even know like how people make money.
Yeah, how do you even like get into that?
Yeah, and I didn't know any of the roles. Like I didn't know like what grips were. I didn't know what a first AC was. I didn't know what an AD or a DP was. I had never heard of those terms.
Yeah, I think when my interest was first peaked was I think my dad and I were like watching the Lord of the Rings like when I was maybe like 10 or something, and it was those old like big DVD box sets, and it had a ton of like special features and stuff. So you're watching all the behind the scenes stuff, like the makeup room and the pencil drawn designs and stuff. And my dad's like, "Oh, I would kill to do that. Like that scene, you just go to your job and like make costumes for these movies. Like that would be so cool." And I'm like, people can actually do that. Like You don't have to sit at a desk.
Yeah, and it's never talked about. Like I never heard a lick about this kind of stuff in Rochester, Minnesota. Never.
No, not at all.
Never. And I didn't know a single person who did this type of stuff. And I guess so. My first exposure was, I went to school in North Carolina, and I had to, even in North Carolina, I had to get out there and look for alum that were working in the industry, the film industry. And that was another risk. Just like, okay, no one is telling you how to get connected with these people. You have to go out and do it yourself. And that's what I did. I connected with alumni, and I realized, okay, there's a way. There's Hollywood. There's things called development companies. There's things called talent agencies. That was my first intro to the wider world of filmmaking. And I guess like what I want to talk about here is, yes, take that risk if you feel like there's an interest you want to explore and there's a potential for that to become your life, basically. Because let's be honest, most jobs are your life. They're the majority of your waking time and energy. And to me, my philosophy is I want to live a life where I spend that majority of my time and energy on something I love or I feel like is going to lead to something that I love. And so I looked into it, and part of that thing, if with me getting started into filmmaking, is you have to also be like persistent. You gotta be like willing to like go off the dirt road and like stumble into the weeds a little bit and not know what you're doing. And the only way to get yourself through that is like persistence. And taking a risk is the first step, and then there are so many other things that come along with it. And I feel like even today, it's like persistence is what gets me through anything, even beyond just taking that first risk. And I guess Cecil is here actually because I invited him to like live with me for a couple months to help work on like this podcast and work on YouTube videos. And what do you feel like? I mean, you took that first risk where you're like, yes, I want to do this. What do you think has gotten you through the rest of it?
Yeah, I remember like when you first called me about it, and I was like, I think my very first reaction was to be all like hesitant, like, really? Am I really gonna move? Like pretty much moving for like a few months. But I thought about it. I'm like, what am I really doing here? I mean, I feel like I'm gonna regret it if I don't, But yeah, it's been a lot. It's been different though, for sure. Kind of like, learning to get around and stuff, and like, I don't know, everything's just, it's so different here, but I like it, and it's fun, and it's cool to like see all these sorts of things that like I never would have seen back home and stuff.
Yeah, and what is there like a word that you'd use to describe like, or this feeling like that has gotten you to wake up every day and just do these things? Like, I guess what's been pushing you now?
That's a good question. I think it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm grateful I have this like time to work on this, because I don't think I would have had it back home if I was just staying at my job, and like, or like the time I guess would be there, but it's with work taking up like that part of my time and like that part of my energy. Sometimes I get home and I just don't.
Yeah.
I feel drained. I don't feel like sitting down and editing for another few hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of grateful for this like time I can kind of like reset, I guess, and like plan out like pipelines for like work I probably would not have done at home and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that highlights something, because I guess would you say right now it's like you also are waking up trying to put your energy into like what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you're doing that also because like if you don't, you go back to Minnesota, it feels like that time was just like gone or like wasted in a way.
I wouldn't say wasted though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
maybe not used to the fullest it could have. Like
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely possible to go home still having regretted like something, you know. Like, yeah, this is true. I would have regretted it had I like just stayed home, but I think it's possible to return home and still like feel like I could have done so much more. Yeah.
I think that's a great analogy when it comes to just any risk as well. It's like you're going to regret not taking that first step.
You got to stick to it though.
Exactly. If you don't stick to it and don't put in the effort after, you're also going to regret not just fulfilling your full potential, especially if you see there is a potential or like,
Absolutely.
you love the risk you're taking. I mean, there are some risks where like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. You take that first step, you don't like it, you come back. But let's talk about that a little. Let's break down like those types of risks. Do you ever feel like there has been a risk in your own life where it's like, that's a risk I shouldn't have taken?
I don't know. I guess like it's kind of difficult. I don't know that I've really taken too many of those risks, to be honest. This is kind of a new thing for me.
I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just like, I don't know if it's like solely because of like where I'm from and stuff, but like, I don't know. I just never saw myself like, I don't know. You like think of something crazy that you could do, but then you're just like, nah, I can't do that. And then you just kind of, you do the same thing you did yesterday, you know, because it's what you know, and then, you know, 5 years have passed, and it's like, I don't know, what have I really done instead of just like think of cool ideas I could have done, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that honestly, I feel like describes the mentality of most of our peers in Minnesota.
I think so, yeah.
You have these ideas, and maybe you don't have the support group around you, or you don't have the inspirers around, like the people who are a source of inspiration for you around you, and so you never like build up the courage to A, take that step, and then B, stick it out.
Yeah, or it just stays in like this hobby thing where it's like, oh yeah, I do videos. You know, you'll bring it up occasionally, like, yeah, I do. It's a hobby. It's not like something like I would actually pursue.
Yeah, and I guess it's important because, like, let's face it, if you never had someone around you who did the thing that you want to do,
It's harder to see yourself doing that. Yeah.
100%. And I feel like, yeah, I honestly, this is such an important thing. It's like, if you have a dream of doing something and you kind of know, you don't need to know what it is fully, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what filmmaking was fully before I did this. But if you kind of know that this thing is something you like creating or doing, or just, you know, being in the process of, it's worth seeking out. The first step might be, it's worth seeking out peers who have done that thing.
That's true.
And honestly, today, in this day and age, there's no excuse. There's no excuse to not do that, because there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's YouTube, all of these things just across. This is the great thing about the internet, is you can just go reach out to somebody, and there is a chance they respond to you and actually talk with you. And that could change your life, you know? I'm trying to think if I have any of those conversations where it's like I reached out, because I've done a lot of those like coffee chats or informational interviews off of LinkedIn. And I don't know if there's a single one I can point to as of now. If I think of it, I'll mention it later in this interview. But do you ever have you ever done this, like, sort of reaching out thing, or like, what's your experience with this kind of?
I guess not really a whole lot. I don't know. I've obviously spent like a ton of time on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, like being inspired by these incredible artists, but I don't know. I've never like thought that like, man, I should like, or even like the possibility of like reaching out, you know.
Yeah,
it's just, maybe it's just felt like less collaborative, or maybe I don't have the portfolio to, like, I'm a fan of their work, and I would love to make something like it, but I don't have anything under my belt, I guess, because it's always just been in my head, maybe.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. What is the barrier between seeing these sources of inspiration and then not, I guess, taking the action? Like, what is causing that?
I don't know. I think it's uncomfortable. I think it's uncomfortable to like want to put everything into something, and then especially if it's like not good right away, it's hard to push through that sometimes, I feel.
Let's break that down, because I think we just unlocked the new part of risk taking.
Yeah.
Right. There's two parts here. First is the discomfort you feel, which is very true. But then second is also the expectations you set.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's just break down the first point. Like, when you talk about discomfort, like, what are we really talking about?
I don't like, especially in like video and like storytelling, it can be kind of vulnerable, I think, especially putting something out there that like all my friends can see. Like my mom is gonna watch this. Like, yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, they're gonna bring it up like when I talk to them. Like,
I feel that.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
I'm fine with strangers seeing it, but like picturing like my mom watching this, I'm like, oh man.
I felt that. So I guess I officially committed to filmmaking my sophomore year, which was almost 4 years ago at this point. And for those first 2 years of committing, I think I basically never posted. I was like turned off by the idea of social media. I was like, that's not what a true filmmaker does. And that was, looking back, like, was not the move. And these past 2 years, I have been I'm still like not expert, I would say, but I'm learning to embrace social media and also just posting my work in general, if it's good, even if it's good or bad. And I will say there is a huge discomfort. Like, yeah, that person from high school that you never talked to, they're going to see your stuff.
They're going to see it,
and they're going to judge you. Or that one person that's in your class, they might see your stuff. They're going to judge you.
Or it could inspire them. But we don't think of that, yeah.
Or they could inspire them. But guess what? In these 2 years of posting stuff on the internet for anybody to see, and some of my stuff, for example, I posted one thing on TikTok and it got like 500K views. Guess what happened from all of that posting?
Nothing.
No one reached out. I didn't get hurt by anybody's negative comments, which are negative comments already, like on YouTube even. And no one has asked for anything. And the point here being is that when you post and put yourself out there, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
It's literally just another video on their feed.
They forget after 5 minutes. But maybe I'm actually hyperbolizing this a little bit. Things have come out from it. Like, I have received good messages. I've received people wanting to talk. You know, I've received people wanting to learn. And like, I know if I keep doing this, at some point it's probably gonna make me money. You know, if I keep, in 5 years, I keep it up and persistent. And there's already like millions, maybe not millions, but thousands of proof people out there who have already done this, and they're evidence that if you keep posting, you can do it. Now, I don't know what it's like when you're like rich and famous or whatever, and like obviously it's different. But at this level, when nobody knows who you are and you're just starting out, there is, to me, no loss of posting. No loss of posting something on Instagram, on your story, on LinkedIn, anywhere. There's only a gain you could get, because on any of those platforms, if the right person sees it, it could change your life. It could lead to something different. So the discomfort at this stage of starting out is really just in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, it's probably like, let's talk about the expectations. And this is something I'm still dealing with. But like, why are also the expectations so detrimental, I guess,
I think it's just because, like, I don't know, you get inspired by some like incredible video or some incredible piece of work, and you're like, I could do that. Like, and like, that's true, you can. But I think when you like start off and you like put 100% of your energy into this thing, and then like it comes out and it's not good. I think for me at least, it gets caught in this like endless cycle of revision and stuff, where it's like, it's never good enough to like completely edit out. Like, I have footage, but now like the time is stretched on so far that like, I don't even know if it's the same idea I had when I started, you know? So I think in that sense, it either gets caught in there, or you just get like so frustrated by the fact that like you're trying so hard and it's not there right away. It's not in a spot where your taste and your skill haven't collided yet. And I think that can be kind of hard to start off with, but you will bridge that gap eventually.
Yeah. And it might not happen in a year. It might not happen in 5 years. It might not happen in 10 years, but if you keep it up, it will happen. And in my opinion on that is, you just got to put the reps out. You got to, like, these expectations, I think they're great dreams. They're great goals, but you have to just get the reps in. And in my opinion, even at my current stage, like with this podcast, let's just talk about this podcast for a second. I am starting from ground zero. Like, I have like maybe 100 views per episode. Like, that's nothing, right? And my idea right now is not about making these episodes perfect, which they're not, but is about getting the episodes out there and getting the reps in. You know, it's like the only way like you start something at the beginning is simply just doing it and repeating and improving with each, repetition, right? And I don't know when that stops. To be honest, it might never stop. I think even at the highest levels, you start to take more time with your projects and you take more energy and you perfect the craft. But there is still a part of it where it's like, okay, you do this thing, you get that done as good as you can for that reasonable window of time, and then you move on.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly probably never ends.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know that like a project like that can ever be like perfect. There's always something that you like wish you could have changed. And if it gets caught in that revision cycle, it's never good. It's better to just post it, even if you think it's bad, because not everyone's going to share that opinion. I think it'll be good for a lot of people.
Yeah, not everyone's going to share that opinion, and it just it shows the progress as well. Like, people see this progress over time. And if you just step onto the stage one day and you're like, here's my amazing feature film, and it is good, and you have none of the previous things, like, it could work out. But I just have a feeling that if people have seen your previous work and have seen the growth and the progress, there is strength to that. There is a sense of this person really has worked for this amazing project they're putting out. And another thing I wanted to say about expectation is that I think expectations are just bad in general. Like it's hard because I think everyone naturally sets, like, everyone's minds, they just set expectations. Like,
plus, I guess you're constantly fed all these people who like blew up overnight, but it's like that classic saying where like it takes like 10 years to blow up overnight, or something like that.
Yeah.
Where like they've been practicing this whole time. It's just they've only now that it's maybe gotten popular or something that you're seeing it.
Yeah.
And then I think you're wrongly expecting that to happen to you. You just put out one or two videos and they go crazy, but you.
Yeah, and I also think expectation of this kind, where it's like expecting success or expecting, fame or expecting, monetary success.
You're losing the soul of it. You have to do it just because you want to. Otherwise, it's.
Yeah, you're losing the soul of it, but you're also forgetting why you started. Like, you're forgetting the reason for why you even want to put your time and energy into this thing. And it surely isn't. Maybe it is because you want to become rich or famous, which is a different topic. But like, for me, it wasn't. It was just because I had fun creating videos and making films specifically. And I think, like, I don't want to say abandon like the goals of achieving views or achieving some sort of financial success, because the realistic part of me knows that that's just part of working and in this society and also being a part of the industry. But the idealistic part of me is like, if those are your sole reasons, your content, or your not your content, but your art and your creations will just never be right. It'll never I think it'll grow in the wrong way, if that makes sense. So yeah, expectation is the killer of progress. And honestly, it applies to not just your art, but sometimes like your expectations of your friendships, your relationships, your jobs, your environments. And I think the deeper root of this is all of this comes down to you in a sense. And it's like, what expectation is the expecting of something other than you to achieve what you want. When in reality, the only thing you can control is internally. Yeah, internally, and what you externally do. Do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, I think that's good. Like, I don't know that I heard it put it that way, where you see these like incredible things and you're expecting yourself to do it. And yeah, it's good to have like goals, but I think having maybe expectations on outcomes you want is maybe not the right way to go about this, I think.
Yeah. And I there's a great quote, "The cavalry isn't coming," by Mark Duplass, which I have said several times. But I think this is great because it kind of talks about, like, no one is going to do this.
Yeah, no one's gonna save you.
No one's going to save you. No one's going to like be the one to give you the opportunity.
And it's not gonna magically come to you either.
Yeah.
You have to work on it.
Exactly. And honestly, this quote doesn't just apply to filmmaking, which is something, I learned, but it applies to any sort of goal that you have for yourself, whether it's like making a company, whether it's becoming a doctor. No one's going to just give you these things. You have to go out and get them.
And I think even if by some miracle they were like given to you, I don't think you would have the skills to retain it or even hold on to it for very long.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point, because like there is something to be said. You can't really just jump from like a $5,000 film to like a $1 million film.
It's gonna be a really bad $1 million film.
It's gonna be really bad, or maybe you're a genius auteur and you fucking get it. But like, I'm gonna put the odds that it's gonna be not great, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess what the thing is you can't like, you gotta like build the muscle to jump the steps. You can't like go from the bottom and jump 100 feet in the air. You gotta jump 3 feet and then 4 feet, and then like you gotta like progressively get to the goal you want. And the only way of doing that is by being persistent and putting in the reps. And the way you do that is not having expectations and being comfortable with discomfort in a sense, and making bad stuff.
I think just setting goals and not expectations of what you want something to look like. Something's always going to come up. And I think as long as you just have your next goal that you're working towards, instead of like, my life needs to be like this in X amount of time.
Yeah. There's this thing in filmmaking where there are kind of different camps, and this is to all art, but there are some people that believe you have it or you don't, and there are some people that believe no one has it, and
it's all
learned. And I find myself these days not knowing which is true. And sometimes I do fall in the camp of like, you just have it. And
I don't know that I believe that you have it or you don't. I believe for sure that it's easier for some people, but that doesn't mean that if you don't have it, it sucks to be you. I think.
Yeah, and I haven't come to a proper conclusion yet. But my thoughts are, if you believe in that mindset of you have it or you don't, it's always detrimental.
Yeah, why even start? They're gonna put all their effort into something, and it's not gonna turn out how they thought. Their conclusion is, I don't have it. What's the point?
Exactly. In the moment let's say you think you have it, and you do have it for the first like 3 films of your life. That moment when you're like hitting that pencil on paper, and you're like, I don't know what to write, or this is not working. You break that illusion.
Yeah.
And you have to face, like, if you believe in that philosophy, you have to come to the conclusion that you don't have it. Because if you did have it, you would always be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Which is just not true. Like, it's just unreasonable. Like, this is another expectation, right? And so, I have found that not believing that anybody has it and believing that it is all learned has helped me the most. Because at that point, it's like, yes, you're gonna make bad shit. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not a perfect filmmaker. I'm not a genius. I'm not an auteur, and I've made several bad films to this day, and I'm still making bad films. But I know if I keep going down this path, at some point something's gonna hit, and I think at that point maybe the next thing might hit, and maybe the next. And I don't have the expectation that everything's gonna be perfect, but I do believe that this is a learned thing, and what is the function of learning? Like, time, right? You just need that time to to learn. And that's, I don't know. It's a big thing in art in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Though. Yeah. And there are several there are several movies about that, like Whiplash, right? But I think there is an argument to be made of like not giving up, and But I don't know. I think even in Whiplash, it's like the guy. Like, I don't think the main character has it at the beginning, but he is persistent enough, and but it's an extreme form of persistence.
Yeah, and I think I don't. There's like that. There's like another like I think illusion that people set for themselves, where like they wake up and they don't feel like doing it, and they're like, this is something I'm supposed to like want to do, and I don't feel like it. Maybe this isn't for me. I think.
Dude.
Like, yeah. I think people are expecting to put 110% effort every single day into something, when I think it's more important to show up. If you don't feel like it, show up and put in 10% of your effort for that day, and you'll still be moving forward instead of.
You know why that's so funny? Because this morning I woke up with a slight sore throat, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But guess what? We're doing it. I showed up.
Let's go.
And honestly, it is better than our previous. We tried this once. Already.
Yeah.
This is a much better conversation.
Yeah.
It's much more natural. We're talking about cool things. Dude, I mean, that's like a good piece of advice. Show up. And sometimes it's like, show up early. You know, like there's a big thing in the film production world where like you show up to call time 15 minutes before call time. And some people follow it, some people don't. I think it is a good rule. Just show up, first of all, but also show up early, just before anyone else or before the expected time. And you've already done like fought half the battle, basically.
Especially if it's like if it's a day you don't feel like getting there, like just working yourself up to just show up like that's incredible sometimes.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know. Whiplash is sometimes I feel like I need to be the Whiplash dude, but sometimes you just gotta be that dude. But like, take it slow. And, But always show up. Always put in the reps, and you know, build that momentum. So then one day you can be like that end scene where he's going crazy and he's like bleeding and sweating and everything. I think this is a great point to segue to another part of my journey where I was making films. You know, near the end of college. And you know, as a filmmaker, it's hard. I do agree. You got to make films. You also got to make money. And what's really hard about this industry, I guess, is not necessarily being a creative, but it's like balancing the creative with real life and financial problems.
Yeah.
And so there was a period in my life right after I graduated where my plan was to freelance and make films, and I just was not making enough money. Right. And so my options were at that time, find a normal job, maybe in North Carolina, maybe move back home to Minnesota. And I was stuck. I was like not happy.
Yeah. You're like, maybe I can just work a 9-to-5 and do this as a hobby.
And my goals of also like at that point, another option was like become successful on social media and make them my full-time thing, which has not happened. And I was confronted with the reality of, you know, this is adult life. You gotta make money and you gotta survive. And what I'm trying to get to here is I eventually just applied. I just looked for opportunities that were as adjacent as possible to what I liked doing, even if they weren't, you're making a film every day. And I got lucky and I interviewed with the agency I'm currently working at right now. And, you know, I have a full-time job there, and they got me to move out to New York. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure of moving to New York when I was calling them and I was like, and they were like, you got to move to New York. I wasn't sure about it. Because I had built a network of freelancers and friends and filmmakers in North Carolina.
And I think, but if you don't take the risk, I think like the worst thing that can happen is that nothing happens. I think, if 100%. It doesn't work, you move back.
100%. And I guess what to evaluate here is, yes, this is a moment of discomfort. This is a risk, but also what can this risk provide to you? If this job was, for example, in Montana or, you know, North Dakota, South Dakota, it's not the same. Like that risk might not, you have to evaluate like what this risk is going to open for you. But this risk was to bring me to New York City, which is second to LA for film, which is debatable now, I think. But I don't know where I was in my mind where I didn't just say yes. Mm-hmm. But I think it was from the comfort of being in North Carolina and having people and knowing people. I have
all my friends here, all my connections are here. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
And I knew the location. I knew the place. And New York was a place I never lived for more than like a week. But I talked to some people and I was like, I think this is the only logical decision, right? Mm-hmm. Just move to New York and figure it out. And we are here. And in New York, I immediately started taking risks. I started a writer's circle, which ended, but I learned stuff about myself as a writer and about just working with other creatives in writing, which if I never took the risk of doing this writer's circle, I would never have learned. And I guess I just took the risk of, being here, like really doing the social media thing and like making things that I wasn't at first comfortable with people seeing me make, but now I'm like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I make that funny reel where it's not necessarily, it's an iPhone video, but I just think it's funny and I want to post it. And like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not gonna. If the onus, I don't know if I'm using that word right, but if the onus is on you to make the films that you want to make, it doesn't matter what you make. You can make whatever you want, and then you can go make your films.
Plus, your mom has something cool to show her friends. So
yeah, no, she definitely does that. I can see it. Sometimes she'll post on Facebook my YouTube videos. I'm like,
but honestly, you're giving her a gift. You just have to accept it.
Yeah, and that leads me to I think today, where I am a self-proclaimed filmmaker, and I am trying things out, and I don't know what this next year is going to look like. I don't know what the next couple years are going to look like. And, I don't know if this is the right thing. Like, you take my words for a grain of salt. But there is also a part to taking the risk where you get so deep into it and you go down this path and you're trying all these things. And you get to a point where you're like, I don't even know where I am anymore, or I don't even know what the future looks for me anymore. Because you also realize the space that you're in is changing too. The space you're in is not the space you started in 5 years ago, right? And what I'm trying to say here, sometimes you just got to try stuff. You got to try you got to try doing new and different things and see if things work. And to be honest, I feel like that applies to, I think, like a lot of things, like startup founders. It applies to other, creatives like painters, whatever. But in the film world, not only does it apply to social media and I think YouTube, I think it applies to your films, right? Because there is a point where you get inspiration from other people and other films. And then there's a point where you have to start making your own decisions. And yes, some of those will be copies of previous films, but sometimes you will stumble on that one decision that's just different, right? And I think there's a part of this where it's like you also have to accept that, and accept once you've taken that first risk and maybe you spent 2 years on it, you have to accept that you will always take the risk. Yeah. You will never stop taking the risk. Do you see what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, I don't think I think a lot of people maybe start off like maybe an expectation is that it will become stable after a while.
Yeah.
But like, especially online, I don't know that anything is truly stable. I mean, someone can, people blow up all the time and then like you never hear from them again, or, stuff like that, where I don't think anything is really kind of stable, especially online.
And what is stable in our life? Let's be honest.
That's true. Yeah.
People, okay, I'm gonna get real dark. People die.
That's true. Yeah. There's a lot of things you cannot foresee.
People die, and the older you get, the more likely that just happens. Like, I'm lucky enough where none of my like close family members have died yet, and none of my close friends have died. But in the next 10 years,
it's possible.
it's possible. And you hear those horror stories of young people just dying, right? And you have to remember that you are also
You're not immune to that.
You're
bro.
not immune to that. And I guess what I'm trying to say is nothing is like, no matter how
Yeah, that's like an extreme,
comfortable-
but like nothing, even simple as like you lose your job. you know?
like you lose your restaurant job, you lose your accounting job. Like, none of these things are fully stable, right?
That's true.
Like,
Might as well embrace it.
yeah, and I guess an easy example of this is software engineering. Like, 10 years ago, that was like what
everyone was pushing for computer science.
Yeah.
Like that was everything's on computers now. You have to learn computer science, and now it's like one of the most like highest like unemployment rates among majors.
Yeah, exactly. And I won't say that software engineering is a bad job. I think it's actually a great job. But you're right. Like, that was once thought of as one of the best
Like
bets.
the most stable thing you could do.
And now people who have taken that bet because that was for stability, and maybe they don't actually love it, or they're actually passionate about it, or they're good at it, have now realized that bet wasn't the
they're
right
kind of
bet.
stuck with something they don't enjoy, and like
They can't get a job.
yeah,
So the point here being is, if you don't take that risk and you do something because you think it is stable, it might not be. And you might end up on your ass and also hating what you do. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if you love the risk you're taking, or you think you love it, you might as well try. You might as well just try. Because who knows, you might get somewhere, you might not, you might come back to square one, but even if you come back to square one, you've learned something.
exactly, yeah.
And I want to add something here. Take the risk, but also monitor yourself, keep track of your health, go to the doctor, work out, eat well. Like, I've met some people like where like who are young and like they've faced really bad health scares in their life, almost died, right? And to be honest, that could happen to you. That could happen. You could get some sort of disease. You could get in a car crash. You don't know you don't know what's gonna happen. And I guess what I'm trying to say, take that risk. Don't do it if it's going to be to the detriment of your health.
Yeah, I mean, and then like you're the youngest now that you'll ever be ever again.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's just kind of no reason not to like just try.
Just try. You don't wait for when you're old to enjoy this life. But also, just take care of your health. Eat well. Go to the gym. Make sure your mental health is there. Because these are the foundations of whatever the rest of your life are. And for longevity, you should take care of yourself. So that's my like, I guess, barrier on the risks. Like, make sure they're like, you can stay healthy.
Of yourself, yeah. And then maybe just another one for me, like, don't be a recluse.
Yeah.
Like have a group of people that you regularly interact with, and maybe not regularly, like meet new people as well.
Yeah, just actually I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I'm an introvert and like I'm both. Like you can be
I can
both.
be extroverted when I'm with friends, but like as soon as like a mutual comes in or something, the vibe tends to get killed for me. But that's something I'm trying to work through.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like one of the best things for your health is friendships.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
we're social creatures, man.
That's just a researched thing.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the best things.
Discord does not count, bro.
Discord does not count. You have to meet them and see them. And I guess I think this is a great point, I think, to end on. Mm-hmm. Look, take these risks, do these things. It might be hard to find your community, But that should be another thing. Like, it's like, take the risk of also finding the community that understands what you're doing, and people who just get it, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I don't think I found that fully, but you meet people. We had this conversation yesterday, actually. Like, you meet people, you try things out with them. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. You move on, and that's another part. It's just be open to things just happening, like things changing, unexpected things, because sometimes those could be the best things of your life. And that is also the beauty of risk taking, is that when you start taking risks, those things just naturally open up to you, and you don't have to go fight for them as hard. If you're watching this and you haven't taken that risk, and I have inspired you to at least start, I feel like my goal has been accomplished.
Get off your phone.
Get off your phone. Go do something you have been meaning to do for a while now. Just do it.
It's not going to do itself, bro.
Yeah. All right. I think this is a great episode,
That was
Cecil.
wonderful. Yeah, that was awesome.
Great conversation.
Of course.
We will see you in the next podcast episode, folks.
Yes, sir.